All right, so I am doing something kind of fun today. I'm going live on TikTok and I'm going live on YouTube. I've never done live on YouTube. This is going to be completely new and a little bit scary because, right, I've never even seen a YouTube live. So we're going to try this out. So today is July 5th. It is the day, obviously, right? We're getting kicked off into full summer mode, talking about insulin resistance, talking about how I was able to reverse my prediabetes, how I was able to get rid of 25 pounds of extra fluff. I got rid of skin tags. I got rid of what else? I got rid of my brain fog. I got rid of um, low energy, right? A lot of people just get to the age of 40 and they think, you know what, I'm just getting old. I'm just getting to the point where I need to have cholesterol medications. I need to have blood pressure medications. I need to have like all these different medications because I've reached a certain age. How is a society have we come to accept the fact that when you get to a certain age that um you just start falling apart? Like that is not, oh my gosh, my phone. That is not anything that happens, right? Our body should not at 40 be falling apart. Now, if you're 80, 90 years old, things start, slowing down. But 40 should not be some magical number. A lot of it is that we've been hijacked by um, big food, big pharma. They are keeping us, right? I mean, their businesses. The whole point of big food is to sell us food and to create food for us because we have stepped away from that. We don't do that for ourselves anymore, right? So they make food for us. And that's their job, is to make money off of that. So of course they want to make as much money as possible. A lot of the big food companies have brought in scientists to make the food more addictive. And when that happens, the addiction actually does change your chemistry, right? We look at smokers and we recognize that the the addiction that they have, we recognize it's changed their brain chemistry and that they have an issue with that. And so we applaud them for wanting to quit, and we applaud them for getting a tool to help them do it, to help them overcome that change in their chemistry, right? So how is it any different? If we know that, in all honesty, the scientists that went from the cigarette company to the food companies, if they're doing the same thing to the food that they did to the cigarettes, then why shouldn't we applaud people for using tools to help overcome that change in chemistry in their body, right? The additives, the preservatives, everything they're putting in is actually changing us. So to say, just eat better, just exercise more, just, is the same thing as telling a cigarette smoker, just stop smoking, right? That is not and has not been something that as a society we have pawned off on the cigarette, smokers. We don't do that to them. We tell them, we give them tools to help them out to get over that because we recognize the addiction. We just don't recognize the addiction of food because we're still like we haven't broken that bond. We're still very much in bed with literally big food and big pharma because they perpetuate this cycle. They keep us just, they give us the food that makes us sick. They give us just enough medications to make us not so sick, right? We're beholden to both sides of that coin. And until we recognize that that is what is happening and we want to make that change, do we recognize that food is an addiction to us? And I'm not just talking about sugar, right? The chips, I mean, everything, bread, everything that we have. Most of our bread is actually not even considered food sources in Europe, right? We have so many additives, so much sugar. It's so highly processed, so many chemicals in bread, like literally I can go and make in my kitchen, I can go make bread right now, right? I've got actual wheat berries. I can grind it, I can make it, and bread should be about 7 ingredients. And that's a great bread, right? A basic bread you can do with about four. It's not as tasty, but you can make bread with about 7 ingredients. And it actually is like we demonize grains. We make it that we should avoid grains, and we should avoid all store-bought grains 100%. But if you actually go through like Little House on the Prairie, if you go all the way back to that, you take your grains, you grind them, you make the bread like immediately. Fresh ground wheat has 40 of the 44 nutrients that our bodies need, including a lot of protein and a ton of fiber, right? Fresh ground wheat is not the culprit. It is the processing, it is the additives, it is the synthetic vitamins and minerals that we add to our bread, to our dead wheat that we have ground. That is where we start getting our problems. True fresh ground bread, wheat, has been nourishing humans for centuries. And it's only been since the 80s that we've started getting all of these problems: leaky gut, celiac, IBS, um, gluten intolerance. Like, right, that has only come around really since like the 80s. It's really taken a forefront on that. So we need to take a look. We need to recognize that the food manufacturers are not helping us. I mean, we kind of put ourselves in this position first when we stepped out of a position where we could grow our own food. And no, I'm not saying that we need 40 acres and a mule in order to survive, but most of us don't even have a section in a yard where we can grow our own vegetables. I did research on this case. So, as adults, women need 25 grams of fiber every single day, and men need 38 grams of fiber every day. I don't know about you. When I go to the grocery store, to the produce section, I shop for kind of what I think I need to put together, right? I shop for, like, if I'm making a salad, I'll get, a tub of salad and some tomatoes and some cucumbers and carrots, right? I'll shop for that kind of I'll shop like that, but I don't shop for actual fiber. And I was shocked to find out that shopping like that, and actually, good morning from Florida, been on this and lost 15 pounds so far. That's awesome. When did you start on it, cannoli? I'm curious to know when you started on it. Um, but I don't like, right, so shopping for fiber. And a lot, so I have a system that I use. I talk about it all the time. So new over here on YouTube, I mean, we've got the videos that talk about it. Beginning of June, are you kidding me? So in a month you've lost the 15 pounds. That's awesome. I know a lot of that is going to be like water weight, bloating, right? You've obviously, there's some actual fat that's gone from that, but a lot of us have so much bloating and so much inflammation that um that just starting and going in the right direction, like, we just shed that so fast. That is so awesome. I'm so excited for you. I think your name is Mark Kennelly. I love that. That's fantastic. Do you have anything else that you're dealing with, Mark? Like type 2 cholesterol, blood pressure, anything? So going back to shopping for fiber. I did some research. Now, this was a couple months ago, right? The beginning, middle of spring, when berries were kind of, super in season. And berries are going to almost always be your biggest bang for your buck in terms of fiber count. Mark, blood sugar was normal levels now. Yes, my inflammation went away in a few weeks. I love that. And that's one of the best, like, maybe the scale doesn't change very much for people, but when you start losing bloating and inflammation, that's when your clothes start fitting better, right? That's just kind of that little bit of extra puffiness that you kind of have all over. It just kind of goes away. I love it. That's awesome, Mark. Good job. So again, berries and avocado are going to be your biggest bang for buck in terms of amount of fiber that you get for what you're paying. So again, middle spring, when all of like the berries are like just coming in season. Yeah, no, it's the scale doesn't go down as much, but the inflammation and the bloating go, which helps with just overall feeling better and the clothes fitting better. Found that blackberries were my best. Okay, so at a couple months ago, blackberries were 250 for 6 ounces. Like, that's ridiculous, right? Those little tiny clamshells of um tiny little clam, 6 ounces of clam, like a clamshell of blackberries wasn't very much. But you got 7.6 grams of fiber, 7.6 grams of fiber for that 6 ounce clamshell of blackberries. That's a really good, right, back amount. So at 250, I would need 4 containers to get my 30 grams of carbs. That means that I'm paying $10 a day for blackberries just to get my fiber count in for the day. Um, and that was yeah, you feel it in my clothes when my wife face says my face looks thinner. That's awesome. Um, so $10 a day in blackberries means that you're spending $300 a month on blackberries just to get fiber. And that was the best cost that I could find. If you look at organic spinach, and yes, you should buy organic because if it grows above the ground and doesn't have something that you're peeling off, you want it to be organic. Because even, I mean, even organic, like, right? Even organic doesn't mean they're not spraying something. It just means that they're doing what is considered a good safe spray, right? Anything above ground, you want to buy organic. So spinach was $5 for a 16-ounce bag. Okay. I would need about 3 of those, a little less than 3 of those every single day of spinach, 3 16-ounce bags to get enough fiber. Because, I'm sorry, it has 11.35 grams of fiber in the entire 16-ounce bag of spinach. So I'd need just shy of 3 bags to reach my 30 grams of fiber at $5 a day with math and change and everything. It worked out to $13 a day in for spinach. And that meant that $396 per month for fiber. Okay, that and I can't even think about eating that much spinach, right? I enjoy spinach cooked down with some vinegar on top of it, but that's about it. I don't really like it that much. So, but I don't think a lot of people purchase fiber with the like that you don't go shopping for fiber. And we should because we need a lot more fiber in our diet. Typically, we're getting about 12 grams of fiber every single day. And that, of course, right, that's less than half of what the minimum amount is that we should be getting. And what do we get it in? We get it in grains, we get it in corn, we get it in rice, and we get it in, I can never remember the fourth one wheat, grain, I'm sorry, like bread, grain, oh, potatoes. We get it in potatoes. Those are the 4 ways that we get our fiber. And if you think about it, most of us eat wheat in terms of the highly processed breads and pastas and pastries and cookies, right? We get it like that. But the wheat has been stripped out of the fiber in that wheat. So there's really not much wheat in or much fiber in that. We get it in corn, which 9 times out of 10, it's really hard to find non-GMO corn. And you can, I'm not here to say that we have to be perfect or anything like that, but when it's GMO corn, that means like they can just heavily spray it with glyphosate, with whatever they need to, and the corn will survive. That doesn't mean that it's safe to, like, right? That doesn't mean that it's not being, the actual modification of the corn isn't what I'm talking about here. Like, you can have your issues with that all you want, but the problem is that when they take that corn, they're now able to spray whatever they want to on that corn, and the corn will continue to grow. It won't die with whatever they're spraying on it, which is great for the corn manufacturers because they can now create and spray and kill everything else off, but the corn just magically survives, whatever chemicals they put on it, right? But then, right, then that you're eating those chemicals that are sprayed onto that corn. So that's how we're getting corn typically. Also ground up into your tortillas and your chips and everything else, right? You're also getting rice. Typically, like wild rice, as we know, is a much different beast to cook than white rice or brown rice because it has that wheat germ around it. It's got that hole around it that you have to, you have to have enough steam to break through that to cook it. It is absolutely amazing. I love wild rice, but we get it through white rice. And then when we eat it, 9 times out of 10, it is covered in an oil, fried, tons of salt and seasonings, right? So that's rice. And the fourth one is potatoes. Potatoes, I haven't done a lot of research on recently. I was under the impression that the way that they do it, again, they spray tons of chemicals on, like they grow them, spray chemicals on them, and put them into like a hanger or someplace where they can finish maturing, kind of a thing. But the chemicals that they put onto the potatoes are, again, horrible and everything. But at the same time, once we finally get to eating the potatoes, how do we eat them? Potato chips French fries, fried, tons of oils and salts and chemicals added to them. So our typical 12 grams of fiber every single day isn't exactly stellar, right? We're not winning any awards for health here in America in terms of how we're getting our good quality fiber. And so that is why I'm on here, right? I talk about a system that has reversed my type 2 diabetes, my prediabetes, sorry. I've lost 25 pounds. My biggest thing is that I am 48. I'll be 49 the end of this month. And 5 years ago, I was battling perimenopause, right? Cycle just all over the place. But the irritation that I had with my family in my head was off the charts. Like that whole PMS like irritation. And I would take it out on my family. Um, that was something that I was trying to, and I don't want to I didn't go to the doctor because all of my friends, same age, dealing with the same thing, right? They were getting hysterectomies and just, right. I didn't want to go through that. And we need to deal with this. And just cutting stuff out isn't the answer. So I didn't do that. I didn't want to go through that. Tried seed cycling. I don't know if anybody's tried seed cycling. It's strange. Doesn't really work for me. Um, but when my husband found this system, okay, I talk about this system. When he found that, he got onto it just to lose weight because at 42, 7, 6, 5, 4, 70, 40, 44, I don't even know how old he was. 3 years ago, he found the system on TikTok and decided to give it a shot because, and on YouTube, you don't have it. I'll have to fix that. Over here on TikTok, I've got a list of symptoms. Okay. We're talking about frequently hungry even after a meal, needing to nap after eating, you're not satisfied after eating, craving carbs, low endurance, belly fat, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, fatty liver, like right. These are all symptoms of one situation. Okay. The guy he was listening to was going through and listing off all of these symptoms, and William's just like, well, heck, check, check, check. Yeah, I've got all that. So of course my husband is just a jumper inner, right? He bought it sight unseen, didn't think anything else about it. In his first month, he lost 7 pounds. 1 month, he lost 7 pounds. And like a lot of that, like Mark was saying over here on TikTok, that a lot of that was inflammation. Like his face was just swollen. He had weight to lose, right? He'd gotten up to 202 pounds. He's now at 164, right? His body has stopped losing weight where it needs to be at. So 40 pounds overweight isn't, catastrophic, but it was what he needed to get rid of. Right. So in that first month, he lost 7 pounds and he moved his belt notch over like three chinks. Right. So that was huge for him. So I look at that and I'm like, I wanted to lose the weight. I didn't know what I was going to do with my hormones, but I was like, set that aside. I'm just going to try and lose this weight. Right. So I started on the system a month and it took me 3 months to lose any weight at all. It didn't touch my weight. I lost some bloating, I lost some inflammation, right? Things slimmed down a little bit, but in that first month, my hormones were so much better. So much better. The irritation was almost entirely gone. I was able to get through a cycle without wanting to destroy my family. Um, I like, right, I'm going to be 49 the end of this month, and I am now back on a 28-day cycle, right? That's unheard of. None of my friends, if they still are having their cycle, right, they don't have that at this age. And it's an even better cycle. Like everything about my hormones is better than even when before I had my first kid 21 years ago. Like I wish I'd had this as a young adult. I can't go back and change that. It is what it is. I can actually, make sure that my kids have the correct information going forward. So that's what it has done for me, right? I have more energy. My brain fog is gone. I had skin tags. I don't know if any of you had any of these ever. I had skin tags in my eyelash lines. It was the strangest thing. Absolute strange. And like the only time they bothered me, of course, was when I was putting on or taking off my makeup. It just irritated like to rub over them. But those are gone. And I realized that just about 3 or 4 months ago. Something was talking about skin tags, and I put the 2 and 2 together. I didn't even realize they were skin tags in my eyelash line. They weren't huge. They were just little bumps. Um, I thought that they were kind of like a little tiny cyst or something, but I had skin tags in there. And it was just so refreshing, right? To just see my body healing. And it's not been fast. It's not been, lickety split. It hasn't been overnight. It has been relatively easy. Okay. When I started on the system, I didn't change the only thing I changed was I started skipping breakfast. And for me, my whole life has been a blood sugar crisis, right? I have I was diagnosed at like 6 months as being hypoglycemic. So at 6 months I had low blood sugar. Why would I have low blood sugar as a 6-month-old, right? I wasn't malnourished. I was right, my family fed me. Like my mom stayed home. There was no reason for me to have low blood sugar, but they just attributed it to having a high metabolism, which is great, but why am I not getting into my fat stores? Why was my body not flipping over into my fat reserves? Because as a baby, right, I wasn't malnourished, and as a baby, you're either malnourished or you're healthy, and a healthy baby has some chunk on them, right? So I had that. So, but I never accessed that. So my whole life, my whole childhood was a battle of low blood sugars, and nobody stopped to think, including my pediatrician, why am I not getting flipped over into that? My whole childhood was a result of staying in sugar burning mode. And I mean, I was always a slender kid. I never had any problems until, of course, after my second kid, right? Trying to lose that extra weight, getting older, things are slowing down because I'm getting older, right? Um, just the insulin resistance by the time I was 32 when I had my second kid was off the charts, right? I've been battling it my whole life. So I had 2 kids, which just completely destroys and messes up your hormones. I mean, right? I was on birth control, again, off the charts, messing up with your hormones. And then as a teenager, because again, and ironically enough, right down here, acne is a side effect, is a symptom of insulin resistance. I've been battling glucose levels my whole life. Now, with hormone changes and insulin resistance, my acne was off the charts, right? I took Accutane for 1 6-month cycle. I will never do that. I don't advise anybody. That stuff is rotten. I don't even know what damage it did to me internally, but that stuff is rotten. But before that, in an attempt to clear up my acne, my doctor had me on long term low dose antibiotics, right? I'm lucky I even have bacteria in my gut after everything that I've done. And so when I started on the system and I wanted to lose weight, my body looked at that and it said, no, no, we've got other things we need to take care of first. And so we're going to tackle, XYZ, and the weight, as we start to tackle these other issues, the weight will come off. And that is it across the board. Okay. So I started fixing my hormones. Those started getting into place. I started grabbing some of the triglycerides and the visceral fat that started coming down as well. Right. And the weight comes down. Weight is a side effect. Weight is a symptom of insulin resistance. I'm super lean, but with perimenopause, I started having issues with my blood sugar. My A1C was high. So perimenopause, menopause starts putting us more into a just naturally, even if you have been perfect and absolutely healthy, Tabby, that perimenopause starts putting us into a natural insulin resistant state because and I'll be honest with you, Tabby, Bree, you explain that so well as you fix things, weight comes down. Absolutely. Um, so eating low carb is going to be absolutely your best option. With your perimenopause, Tabby, you want to actually, I would recommend a book called Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pels. Sorry, it's underneath my computer. I would recommend that for you. She actually goes through, and when I say that I fast every single morning, that's almost 100% true. Women need to do like my husband skips breakfast every single day. For women, we need to work with our cycles. Okay, so in perimenopause, you're still producing estrogen and progesterone, but you need to be careful with that. So eating low carb, you're going to you're going to damage the time that you need to be producing progesterone. So for the first 3 weeks of your cycle, so you start your cycle for 3 weeks, you can do the low carb, you can do intense exercises. That's awesome. You can skip food. Like, right, I skip breakfast during that time to give myself more time in fat burning mode. But that week before your cycle, and it gets kind of schwacky in perimenopause, right? Because you might not be an exact week before you start again, right? But that last week beforehand, you want to eat 3 meals a day. You want to have a little bit more. So you might try doing that. Like the intermittent fasting with the perimenopause across the board is going to help out with bringing your A1C levels down. And I mean, as you're battling perimenopause and the natural insulin resistance that comes from that, then like that's going to be a good tool in your toolbox. Now, I personally recommend the system. This is what has helped my perimenopause off the board because I can't eat low carb all the time. I love carbs. I love them. And I mean, if I walk down the cereal aisle, then I'm done because I don't care. Like Cheerios are fine. I mean, they're not fine. I will eat Cheerios. I'll eat cornflakes. I don't even have to have, the fruity pebbles or anything like that. I don't even like those. I like just good regular cereal. So I can't just do low carb. We've been doing low carb. We've been doing, like tons of protein and we'll throw in like broccoli kind of a thing. So we've been doing that this last week and it's definitely better for me. But this system makes it so much easier. And what it is, I drink the tea. This is a concentrated yerba mate tea. I drink this in place of my breakfast. That week beforehand, I drink it with my breakfast. It is a natural GLP-1. This, like, we make that in our own gut. We don't need a synthetic version. Drinking this tea is going to naturally increase my GLP-1 that I can make 60 to 70%. And that was studied by Dr. Ben Bickman at the Brigham Young University, like a year and a half ago. Okay. So I drink the tea during the day. That's what I've been sipping on. That turns off the food noise. Like I don't think about food. It is 8:30. I haven't had anything to eat today and I'm not even hungry. Right. So I will probably eat around 11. We're going out with friends today. So I'll probably eat beforehand so I don't get over to their house and just, devour chips. So I'll have 2 of these each day and then the fiber. Now I talked earlier about fiber. This is going to give me the fiber that I need. I have 2 of these. The system comes with 2 teas and 1 fiber because that system was studied. 2 teas, 1 fiber is your best metabolic support system that you can get with this system. I have 2. I have 1 before my lunch and before my dinner. I might even have a 3rd one before chocolate cake tonight, right? Because adding the fiber back into our food is what nature intended. Sugar cane, they strip the sugar out of the middle of the cane. It is surrounded by fiber. It is a very fibrous cane that surrounds it, right? It's a plant, but it is surrounded by fiber. Let's see, banana. We don't like the rinds, but the sweet part is surrounded by fiber. Apples, we typically enjoy the sugary, juicy part of it, but the entire apple is absolutely fiber. So if you're drinking apple juice, you're missing the whole point, right? Everything, all carbs in nature. Wheat is surrounded by the wheat grain, the bran. Oats, what else? Rice, those are all surrounded by the bran, by the fiber. And we strip that out to make it shelf stable, to make it last longer, to make it easier to eat and to produce, and to actually make us more hungry. So by adding fiber back in, and now I talked about this, right? You can skip breakfast completely for free. You don't get no money out of your pocket. And you can drink black coffee, black tea, or water. None of that is going to spike your insulin. So you do that every single morning. And then before you have a huge meal, you're going to add fiber. Now, I talked about that first thing. And if you weren't here, if you do that, you have to not just add a huge bowl of fiber. You have to add 30 grams of fiber to your day, right? To your day. So that would be like 15 grams at lunch and 15 at dinner before you eat your meal. And I don't know if anybody remembers this. Okay. So organic spinach, a 16-ounce bag of organic spinach will only give you 11.3 grams of fiber. So that means that before you have your lunch, you would have like 1 1/3 bags of spinach. before you eat. And then you do that again before dinner. That would mean that 7, 14. If you had blackberries, you would need about 12 ounces of blackberries before you had your lunch and before you had your dinner. Okay, so that is the quantity of food that you're going to get. If you're going to have broccoli, 0.27 grams of fiber per ounce. So that means that you would need, let's see, 10 to you would need like 50 ounces of broccoli before each meal. Like, it is off the charts. Because I think that we go to the store. I know I do. I go to the store and I'm just like, oh, let's make a salad. And we just start putting pieces together, not actually calculating very much in terms of the fiber. And yes, everything you put on that is going to add fiber to it. But I don't think that we, like, I know I don't stand in the grocery store and look at cabbage and like, well, how much, this seems really fibrous. How much fiber is in that? Cabbage is only 0.6 grams of fiber per ounce. Cabbage is like almost entirely water. It seems fibrous, like when you grab that bag of shredded like coleslaw, like shredded coleslaw without the dressing on it, right? You get that, and right, it's super fibrous. It's only got 0.6 grams of fiber per ounce. So you would have to have a ton of cabbage, right? If you were to shop for that, then you could do that without buying a system. Absolutely. Skip breakfast completely for free. Hey, Eddie, you have your black tea, black coffee, water during your breakfast time, and you go about your day. Then beforehand, you're adding 30 grams of fiber. You can do it all at one meal. You can spread it 15 before each meal, right? But you have to get that in, not just a big bowl of fiber, a big bowl of cooked veggies. You need to get 15 grams at lunch and 15 grams at dinner. And like, I was just shocked, right? I talked about this earlier. Back in season when blackberries were just coming out, they were fresh. Everybody had a ton of blackberries, so they were a good price. $2.50 for 6 ounces of blackberries. That would be, I would need about 4 containers every single day to get my 30 grams of fiber. So that's $10 in blackberries every day. Doing that for a month is $300. I spend $150 for an entire system that's clinically proven to help you to manage your blood sugars. It's clinically proven to help you with your cholesterol and to help you with the weight, right? Everything going on over here, it's insulin resistance, it's metabolic disease. Okay. This is designed and created and guaranteed to help out with metabolic disease. So much so that they give you a 90-day money back guarantee. If you try the system, you buy the system, you use it for 90 days, then they will absolutely give you your money back if you didn't like it, if it didn't work for you, if your numbers didn't come back the way you liked it, like you get your blood work done. If you do all of that and it doesn't give you the results that you want, they know that it works, right? They know that it works. And if it doesn't work for you, they will give you your money back. And it's not one of these money back guarantees where it's just like minus, minus the shipping or minus restocking fees or inconvenience, nothing like that. You pay what you pay. And then if doesn't work for you, then they give you your money back. And then when you purchase, I'm sorry, anybody over here on YouTube, I didn't set it up for you, but you can message me and I can somehow, I don't know how, I can figure it out. Over here on TikTok, if you click on my face again, it's going to take you straight through to my profile. And with that, you go straight to the manufacturer. All right. You're not buying on TikTok or YouTube. You're not buying it from me. I'm not responsible for shipping it to you. I'm not responsible for, credit card issues or returns or making sure you get your money back. That's the company. Company's been around for more than, this company's been around for more than 30 years. This was originally created by Rexall Drugs. And if you don't know who Rexall Drugs is, they were like the CVS they started back in the 1800s, late 1800s. So originally Rexall Drugs became Unicity. They're responsible for the 90-day money back guarantee, right? And they are an amazing company, debt-free. They are a private company, family-held company. Their goal is to make life better. That's it. And ironically enough, they started in America, but they are huge in Asia. They are off the charts in Asia and the Middle East. Because why? Because we are stranglehold by big pharma. You can't get onto anything and you can't say that this is going to fix something at all, because I don't have a medical degree, because I am not a pharmacist, because I am not, you can name everything you want, but there is so many people who stranglehold nutraceuticals that actually do help. And what is a nutraceutical? Nutraceutical is a plant-based product, has no medications in it, that has been tested and proven to act exactly like a petrochemical medication. And just to clear that up, our pharmaceutical medications have petroleum in them, right? And is that good or bad? I don't know. We've been taking them forever, but they're not, that's not, and I mean, is petroleum natural? I guess so, right? It's from the earth. So I guess there's not a problem with that. It's of course highly processed. But yeah, our for to say that we're getting rid of these fossil fuels is ridiculous. It's not going to happen because our medicines are made out of them. So what? How are they going to get rid of that if they don't have any other options available, right? So a nutraceutical is a product that is purely plant-based, tested and proven to act exactly like a pharmaceutical drug. Okay, so on that, the tea is nothing more than highly concentrated yerba mate. It's got high grade stevia. It's got, I don't even think it has any vitamins or minerals in it. I don't remember that, but it's all natural, right? It is, there's no drugs, there's no petrochemical anything in here. This one was studied by Dr. Ben Bickman at the Brigham Young University, found to act exactly like the GLP-1 medications without the side effects. Okay, we actually create our own GLP-1 medication. That means that when we eat fiber, fat, and protein, that those nutrients will tell our gut to release a small amount of GLP-1. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if our body, like if we eat those fiber, fat, and protein, will release the GLP-1 hormone around a 2 or a 3. Okay. This tea, when we have this, is going to do the same thing, right? I haven't had fiber, fat, or protein. I'm in a fasting state. I have this, it's releasing the GLP-1 hormone to about a 6 or 7. Okay. Still well within what my body can do. What this is doing, it is turning off the food noise. It's telling my head that I'm not hungry. It makes me feel full. Like my stomach literally stops growling. Like if it growls, I just have a sip of tea and it stops growling. Like it turns off the food noise. It's going to slow down digestion. So as all of my tea is going through my system, it's just kind of going through nice and slow. It is also one of the hormones that helps to regulate the insulin that goes into our blood, right? And is also heart protective. I haven't figured out how yet, but the GLP-1 hormone is heart protective. So you would think that having the GLP-1 medication would be off the charts awesome, right? When they first started out, it was very much like this, right? The medications would just naturally increase a bit more of the GLP-1 in your system synthetically, but it was still well within what your entire body could handle, right? Until the influencers got a hold of it and found out that they could lose weight off the charts, right? And then, for whatever reason, the pharmaceutical companies decided to listen to them, and the GLP-1 medications now put you at like a 12 to a 13, right? If our bodies can produce 1 through 10, with food is a 2 to a 3, with the tea is a 6 to a 7, with the synthetic medication, a 12 to a 13. It is beyond what our body is capable of producing. So now you're bombarding all of the cells in your body with a synthetic version that is bigger, more, and stronger than what your body is capable of doing. That is why there's a black box warning. That is why people are going to the doctor, to the emergency room, and having their intestines removed and having a colonoscopy bag, because it is beyond what your body can handle. With this, I'm also managing my weight. It is coming off at the appropriate weight that my body is capable of. I do not have, skin hanging off of anything. I mean, I've lost 25 pounds. Most people don't get excess skin with that. I forgot to get my iPad. We have a guy who's lost about 150 pounds, and he doesn't have in 150 pounds probably in 2 years now. in the 1 year that he had done it, he lost about 135 pounds in 1 year. And he doesn't have excess skin, because when you're doing it naturally, your body loses the weight it needs to do. And this is a natural weight loss, right? The GLP-1 medication is not. It is a synthetic version that is overriding, right? That is what literally petrochemical medications are. They override what your body is doing to force it to do something else. So the GLP-1 medications make you lose weight so much faster than your body's ready to or able to. And don't get me wrong, I am not. If you are on one, then that's awesome. If it's working for you, then that's awesome. You work with your doctor on that. But understand that it's not if, it's when. Nobody is exempt from gastroparesis. Nobody is exempt from 40% of your weight loss on those medications being bone and muscle across the board. If you lose 100 pounds, 60 pounds is fat, 40 pounds is bone and muscle. Like, I don't know, that might not be a problem for men. If you are a woman, then and you're past the age of, I don't know, 25, you're going to have problems because estrogen and progesterone are not going to be able to help you get that back, right? Our estrogen progesterone starts to go away. Those are tantamount. Those are absolutely important for us to have in order to maintain our muscle and our bone mass. So if you're getting further along in your age and you're taking this and you're losing a ton of weight, you're going to have problems. And so you need to figure out, like, I don't even know if eating enough protein is the answer. I don't know. The problem is that you don't want to eat. You don't feel hungry. Eating 130, 150 grams of protein every single day when you're on these medications you don't want to eat, that's almost impossible. Now we've gone to the opposite direction, right? It used to be you're a type 2, you need to lose your weight and you need to eat healthy. I'm sorry, eat healthy and get out there and lose that weight, which is almost impossible to do. You tell a type 2 diabetic that, and it's just depressing. Right now, you've got people on these medications. You need to eat food so you don't lose your muscle and your bones, and they can't do it. They just physically can't eat food, not that much. And so that is where you're getting, the skin hanging off their arms and their legs and the belly flaps and everything. In addition to being another, medical situation where now they have to go and get that medically removed. Like, it is like if you're on it, that's awesome. I would look for an alternative. You can utilize this system in addition to the GLP-1 medications. You can use this with thyroid, cholesterol, blood pressure, pain meds, everything. This does not interact with any medications. The only contraindications of it are, and this is all listed in the PDR, right? You can go to the PDR and you can learn about this along with your doctor. You can talk to your doctor and have them look at it as well. The side effects, the contraindications is that this has caffeine. It is a natural tea. Tea naturally has caffeine. So even though this is highly concentrated, this is like 370 times the amount of like a regular tea bag. But they've made it so that there's only 1 cup of coffee's worth of caffeine, right? That's the equivalent. And I'm very excited because they are working on, and it's in process, and there's an actual sample that some in the hierarchs of the business have had of a decaffeinated. I'm so excited. That means that I can use this in the afternoon. I have to stop the tea by about 2. Otherwise, I'll just think all night long, right? I don't have jittery caffeine. I'm not anxious at night if I have this. I just lay in bed and I'm exhausted and tired, but my brain just keeps going. Like, it just thinks, it just processes everything. So I have to stop my tea by about 2 in the afternoon so I can get to sleep. But they're getting a decaf. I'm very excited. But caffeine is very good for us, right? It is very good for us. It has a benefit to our body. Side effect, that's it. That is the only contraindication to this. If you are sensitive to caffeine, you need to be aware of that. Some people who have told us that they start on the system, and we start them with a half a packet just to see how they react to it. It is, ironically enough, a natural caffeine. It isn't a synthetic version, which I didn't even know there was. But people who have said that people who have said that they are sensitive to caffeine have tried this and have had no problems. Now, when you get into the fiber, The contraindications, there are none. There's no reason for people to not take fiber. But the PDR states that side effects could be bloating, gas, constipation, and diarrhea, all natural reactions to increasing fiber in your diet. Those, as listed in the PDR, should resolve themselves within 2 weeks, right? People who come to us who have this problem, we tell them to start with or to cut back, right? They won't know they have that problem until they start on the fiber. If they get to us and they call and ask, and they're like, why am I so, fill in one of those four, right? We tell them to cut it back to a half a packet and try that for a week to give your body an opportunity, to give your gut an opportunity to get used to getting nourished. Okay, our gut bacteria are absolutely important. That, right, so many people are going to come on here and they're going to, you know, say that we don't need fiber. I'm going to say we don't need carbs. We don't need fruits and vegetables. We can get, now, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan or something and that's all you eat, then that's what you're eating. But we can get like we don't have the digestive tract to manage all of the everything that, like, we are not herbivores. We would need, like cows have massively huge digestive tracts to manage and get all of that broken down properly, right? We don't have that. So we can get all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients we need through meat, because the cow that has the ability to do that with the long digestive tract, they eat those foods, and that nourishment gets put into their meat, which we then eat. Okay, so my argument is we don't need carbs. Now, fiber is in fact a carb, but I'm getting it in just a powder form. I'm not getting all of the additional sugars that come with carbs. So this is the one thing that I say that we absolutely need. It feeds our gut microbiome, right? We have all this bacteria in our gut that help us. One of the things that we have done, like even doing hands, like the whole triclosan, whatever it was in hand sanitizer, right? There was a time that hand sanitizer had an antibacterial in it, found that it was absolutely destroying people's guts, right? Because everything you put on your skin, our skin is an organ as well. So everything we put on the skin gets absorbed into the body. It made its way down into the gut and was wiping out people's gut microbiome. So, right, it is absolutely important to have the bacteria. The gut bacteria, they help to break down our food that we eat into more smaller pieces, but they also need to eat food. They don't eat eggs and bacon. They eat fiber, and they need a large variety of fiber, right? This fiber in this is guar gum, citrus pectin, oat fiber, locust bean gum, and beta glucan. That is what is in this fiber, right? If you're taking Metamucil, you're getting one form of fiber. You're getting psyllium husk. And psyllium husk is a great fiber for making you regular and for helping with bloating. It's great for that. It has not been designed, it has not been studied, it has not been proven to actually help you with cholesterol and with blood sugar issues, right? The same information on the side of the Metamucil can says that diets high in fiber, are pretty good at helping with keeping you heart healthy, right? That's the same claim that's on the side of Cheerios and cornflakes and Chex Mix, right? That is the same claim. There isn't a study that I can find anywhere, and Metamucil is not listed in the PDR, which means they have not had any testing done to prove that it does what that claim is. They're just making a claim that, of course, fiber is good for you, and you need to eat the fiber to keep you heart healthy, to keep your blood sugars healthy, to keep your colon healthy, right? That is a understood claim. You can go to the CDC and you can ask about the benefits of fiber. And there's a ton of them. So they take that, they put it into a cool little stamp, and they put it on the front of anything that has fiber in it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to help you get off of your medications. It's not going to help you with balancing your cholesterol. It's not going to help you with maintaining good blood sugars and bringing your A1C back down so you cannot be a type 2 diabetic anymore. My mom has been a type 2 diabetic for 25 years and has been on all different forms of metformin, different levels of it, dosing, however, several times a day kind of a thing. She's been um, blood pressure, cholesterol, thyroid. She's had, just the standard, thing going on over here with the insulin resistance. I started her on the system a year and a half ago. And when I started her on it, it was March, and she had her 6-month Medicare blood work draw. She went from an A1C of 7 to an A1C of 6.4. In 1 month, only thing she changed was this. She did not change her diet. She definitely didn't change her exercise. She's morbidly obese, has severe arthritis pain all the time. It's difficult for her to move. It hurts to move. So she does not exercise. Okay. In 1 month, her A1C went from 7 to 6.4. That's the difference between being type 2 diabetic and pre-diabetic in 1 month. Now, over the course of the next 6 months, she lost 50 pounds, which is great. But in that time frame, she had a spinal stenosis come up, right? A lot of back pain, which really kind of hinders her balance. She's not as steady on her feet. It hurts to move. It hurts to sit. It hurts to lay down. So she's like, her movement is just moving herself into a different position so that the pain goes away. It was a little bit irritating because the doctors didn't want to just jump into surgery, which, right, that's between mom and the surgeons. And I respect that, right? I respect that decision. But they decided to do the cortisol shots. Well, cortisol, when you put cortisol in, it's a stress hormone. So naturally what happens is your body will naturally, okay, so if you're stressed, if you're walking down the street and you are freaked out about your surroundings, right? You're in a stressful situation. Your body will naturally start to burn sugar, which is great, right? It'll burn sugar and it'll flood your system with um with sugar, right? So you get stressed, cortisol is released, which then goes and tells your body to create sugar so that you have emergency reserves ready to go so that you can get out of that stressful situation. That is what cortisol is doing when we're stressed all the time. Okay. It's keeping us in sugar burning mode. It's keeping us always ready to go. And that's what it's for, right? But when you have a cortisol shot, right, you're hyper inflating the amount of stress hormone in your body. It drastically reduces the pain, like instantly. She had almost instant relief, was able to move more, like it didn't have a problem. But because of that, the instant sugar increase, like she was getting her sugars up to like 300 for a day or two, and there was nothing that was bringing it back down, right? The metformin wasn't working to bring it down. And of course, my mom freaked out because her blood sugars were so high, which, like, she's a control freak and she insists on keeping her blood sugar right around 100, which is great, but she's doing it artificially, right? She was doing it with metformin and she needed more metformin to keep that down. That was her control, instead of recognizing that the food that she was eating was spiking her sugar. But I mean, right, so the cortisol, she has the spike. She knew that it would only last 2 to 3 days, right? Because the body would manage that. The body understands that. The body knows what to do with that. And after a couple of days, she was right back down to normal. But in her head, she couldn't handle that. So talked with the doctor, complained about that. Doctor said, fine, we'll stop with the cortisol shots, but then you have to be on a gabapentin. Gabapentin is not a great medication. I mean, it's kind of managing her pain. She's still now, to this day, because she doesn't have the cortisol shots, she's now at that point where she can sit for a little while and then she has to stand up. She can't stand for too long, so she moves around, right? She walks with a cane because she's not steady on her feet. Yeah, gabapentin, too tall. And to my knowledge, it causes type 2 diabetes. It causes insulin resistance. It does not, most of these like statins increase your chance of getting insulin resistance, increase your chance of having type 2. Like, all these medications work in just this vicious circle. They all feed on each other to make you more sick. right? So she's on the gabapentin, right? So well, she started on the system, she lost 50 pounds, and then she kind of stalled out because that is when she started on the gabapentin. And gabapentin, as a side effect, is weight gain. So thankfully, she's using the system because if she wasn't, she would have ballooned off into, a horrible weight gain, trying to manage this weight, including not being able to move because of the pain. So that is where my mom is at. She has, right, she's now a pre-diabetic. After 25 years, she has been able to go backwards. None of the medical doctors have been able. It makes neuropathy worse too, which is ironic, Tutal, because I'm pretty sure they diagnose gabapentin for neuropathy pain. Like, right, my father-in-law, he had shingles and he got it in his face, like up his neck and in his face. And he's on gabapentin. He takes gabapentin every day because of that. I don't want to say it's phantom. I mean, the pain is there, but he doesn't have the shingles right now. He just has that lingering nerve pain. So he takes gabapentin. So it makes gabapentin worse, even though they diagnose or they treat it with that. Like that is where I just get so frustrated with our medical system, right? For people on YouTube who don't know, I've got Too Tall over here who's talking about gabapentin. That gabapentin makes neuropathy worse, but they treat neuropathy pain with gabapentin because it's such a powerful pain reliever. So that is my story, right? My mom has been able to almost get herself out of the type 2 prediabetes category. I have got hundreds of people that I have worked with over the past almost 3 years that have come off of their cholesterol meds, their type 2 meds, blood pressure. They've gotten rid of their fatty liver. And not just because they feel like they got rid of it. The doctors went in and they scanned, like you can only diagnose and undiagnose fatty liver by doing an ultrasound, right? They got the diagnosis by ultrasound, it went away by ultrasound. Could type 2 be causing my joint aches and pains? Kevin, absolutely. I don't know if I'm not going to say type 2 is, but I would absolutely say that insulin resistance is. It could be, I mean, there's a lot of things that could be causing joint aches and pains. But like the cells in the joints, all of those cells need nutrition as well. So if you are insulin resistant and those aren't getting it, then you start getting like arthritis is a side effect and you can't see it underneath. Your number 25 is achy joints. Like arthritis is a symptom of type 2 diabetes. The problem is that we've got like for this list over here, 25 people or 25 symptoms, you've got probably 12 different doctors, right? If you have achy joints and pains, you're going to an osteo doctor. They're not going to ask you about your diet, about your insulin levels. They're going to treat the pain in front of you. If you go to a dermatologist for dark skin cysts and skin tags, they're not going to ask you about your diet. Even those skin tags are the result of too much insulin in one spot. Insulin is a growth hormone, right? So having insulin flooding our body all the time, then it gets into the skin as well. And it just kind of conglomerates into one spot and you get a skin tag. They're just going to cut it off, even though that's not addressing the problem, right? It's just going to grow back because that same area has insulin in that area in the skin. If you go to your heart doctor for cholesterol, for blood pressure, for I don't even know what else is on here for the heart. If you go to them, they're not going to talk to you about your insulin resistance. They're not going to talk about, they're going to treat the blood pressure with a medication. They're going to look at the cholesterol and they're going to do that. They might tell you to eat better and lose weight, but they're not going to tell you, they're not going to talk about insulin resistance and how that is affecting this. I mean, and it's not just that it's a root cause, like, right? There are direct correlations to it. Okay. When you have high blood pressure, and I would recommend reading the book by Dr. Benjamin Bickman, Why We Get Sick. He goes through, there's like 5 different components of high blood pressure that is caused by insulin resistance. Okay. Insulin is a growth hormone. So when you like in an artery, right? It's all cells, right? Obviously, there's nothing fake in there. So they're all cells. When the insulin is constantly bombarding the inside of the artery and telling the inside to grow, those cells are going to grow, but they have nowhere to grow out. They can't push these other cells out. So they're going to grow in. So you're going to naturally constrict the size of the artery in the vein because of the insulin. So when that is constricted, you still have the same amount of blood volume. It is harder for the body, for the heart to push that blood through a smaller constriction. It negatively affects nitric oxide, right? So you don't get that natural softening, the natural relaxation, because high levels of insulin will not allow the body to release nitric oxide, right? There are like 5 different components that having high levels of insulin negatively affect our heart health in terms of blood pressure. You get into cholesterol. Cholesterol, high levels of insulin tell the liver to make incorrect cholesterol, right? That is when you're starting to get your HDL, LDL out of whack. Your triglycerides start to come in. You have high levels of insulin. If you have high levels of insulin, it means you have high levels of sugar. At that point, your liver is probably filled up with fat. Your fat stores are full. Your cells are full of sugar. It has nothing else to do. So triglycerides are your blood fat, right? They will take the sugar and they will surround it with fat to protect you, right? Triglycerides are your protection because sugar is toxic. And every time it bounces against arteries and everything it touches, it causes tiny little pieces of inflammation. So the body, if it cannot manage all of the sugar in the blood, then it'll start wrapping it up in fat. That is your triglycerides. But your doctor's not going to talk to you about your insulin levels when you're sitting at your heart doctor, looking at your blood panel and wondering how your blood sugar, how your cholesterol got so out of control. They're not going to talk about that. They're going to treat you with a statin to try and manage that. So we have like 12 different doctors for one person. And I mean, how many people sorry, I've got a puzzle. Oh! I've been on for an hour. So TikTok makes me do a little puzzle. Linda Birdie, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. How many people are tired of going to 12 different doctors when you're literally kind of dealing with the same underlying cause? What would happen if in 90 days, right? This comes with a 90-day money back guarantee. What would happen if in 90 days, which by the way is October 5th, October 5th. How did we get to talking about October 5th? What would happen if in 90 days you could already be down inflammation, right? Your clothes could be fitting better, bloating is gone. You could be down some weight. You could be down, like I have seen people that have gotten off of some of their medications in 90 days, right? What would happen? What would your life look like if in 90 days on October 5th, actually be like October 15th, right? By the time you got the system, if in by October 15th, you were having to start to buy new clothes. It happens. It happens all the time. It took me 3 months to lose some weight, but if you weren't here at the beginning, I had a lot that I was overcoming. I had a lot of hypoglycemia, whatever. I had long-term antibiotic use, low dose antibiotic to try and manage my acne, which ironically enough is a sign of insulin resistance. I took Accutane, which is a horrible, horrible medication for my acne. I've had 2 kids. I've been on birth control. And then I've had the stresses and the strains of everyday life, right? When I boil my life down into that and I look at wanting to lose weight, yeah, having to wait 3 months to start to lose weight wasn't the end of the world, because in that 3 months, my hormones were balancing, right? My hormones, my cycle was getting better. I was getting better sleep. I was having more energy during the day and less brain fog, right? In 3 months, that is what I was able to accomplish. After that, the weight started coming off naturally. Like I didn't have to fight it. It just kind of came off. I felt better. My clothes just continuously felt better, right? So if in 90 days, if in 3 months, that could be you, is that worth it to you, right? Is investing in you, and like, right, when I say this, like, this is like a lot of people will go to a health coach, they'll get a nutrition coach, they will, try and do something like that. Is it worth $150 a month that you could put into, that's about the cost of a coach to do that? And they're just going to talk to you. They're going to look at you and look at your food journals and your exercise, and they're going to encourage you. But what if you could do for 150 a product that actually has proven results, right? That actually helps people to lose the inflammation, to get rid of the bloat, to start getting their clothes fitting better, to feeling better throughout the day and having energy, not needing a nap in the afternoon. Would that be worth it to you, right? When you break it down, $150 a month, $5 a day, right? I did the math. You can't even buy enough fiber for $5 a day, right? We need 30 grams of fiber every single day. You can't, like my cheapest, again, just a quick recap if you weren't here, the cheapest to get 30 grams of fiber in me every day was blackberries. And that was 2 months ago when they were just coming into season. So you got a great price on them. I mean, you're going to spend like what, $7 a 6 ounce carton on blackberries now. But that was the best deal. One carton, 6 ounces, 250 about 2 months ago, right? I would need about 4 of those every single day. And that would be $10 a day. Okay. The entire system, 2 teas and 1 fiber to be my natural GLP-1 and my natural statin is less than buying blackberries, right? I don't have to throw any of this away. It's natural. It travels amazing. I haven't even been stopped by TSA for having like 100 of these in my backpack to have throughout a vacation. We haven't been stopped with that at all. Nobody questions 100 of these. I don't know. It's God. It's awesome, right? But how are you going to get 30 grams of protein? I'm not protein. How are you going to get 30 grams of fiber in when you're traveling? Because now you're at the mercy of the restaurant, at the mercy of the airport. God help you there, right? That's not going to happen. You need 30 grams every day to maintain good heart health, good colon health, good cholesterol, good weight. We need this in our diet, right? So $5 a day for the entire system. When it comes down to it, it's a $1.60, $1.63, something like that for one tube, for one packet. And this is my breakfast. I have this in place of my breakfast. And I can't find an entire meal for $1.60. Even cooking 2 eggs, bacon, an avocado, right? That is a great meal. And eating at home that's going to be far cheaper than eating out or going to the local milkshake coffee joint down the street, right? It's cheaper than that by far, right? But even just making my own meals, this is cheaper than making my own meals, right? So for $5 a day, I have been able to reverse my prediabetes, lose 25 pounds, more energy, better sleep. And the number of people who are doing this it's just awesome to see people getting their health back and honestly their life. Because when you have 7 medications that you're on, that means that you're going to the doctor all the time to get those maintained, to make sure that they're the correct dosing. You're getting your blood drawn all the time to make sure that what they're doing is good and correct. You've got the weight coming on that you want to get rid of. Nobody wants to actually be overweight, I don't think. I mean, there's that whole body positivity thing. Like, I'm not saying that having the weight is bad or it's, ugly or anything like that. Like, be proud of who you are. Be okay with who you are, but understand that all of that extra weight that we're carrying around is not benefiting us, right? It's not just a picture of who we are. That extra weight is actually causing more inflammation, right? It is carrying more hormones inside those fat cells. It is a detriment to us to be carrying it. So if we could be an amazing, beautiful, caring, loving, giving person, healthy, I don't want to say skinny because like I'm not going to be like a 20-year-old skinny ever again, right? But if I can be my healthy weight that I'm supposed to be and I can still be beautiful, right? If I can still be giving, caring, loving kind of a person skinny, or if I can be that person with all that extra weight that is that is now carrying all those extra hormones, all those extra toxins, um, all that extra inflammation, I'm going to choose to go with the healthy route because I can still be a beautiful, caring person without the extra weight. We can all be that. This isn't about body positivity at all. This is about being positive that healthy is good. And I think the problem is that so many people have such a hard time with their weight, with losing the weight, right? You get a diagnosis of prediabetes type 2 and they tell you, what do they tell you? Eat better and lose the weight. It is almost impossible because when you get that diagnosis, you are swimming in insulin. And insulin is your growth hormone. So it's going to naturally go into fat storage. It's your fat storage hormone, and it is your sugar burning hormone. You cannot lose the fat. You cannot burn the fat as long as you are in sugar burning mode. One of the easiest, right? So we eat, turns into sugar, and right, the insulin comes in after that to take care of it. The problem is our cells stop listening. They don't want to take, they don't have room to take all the sugar that we keep eating, all the glucose, all the nutrients that we keep eating. We eat all the time. We eat the wrong foods and we're eating all the time. We never take a break, right? The kitchen is never closed anymore. That was like a grandma thing. So we're doing that to ourselves, which is causing the insulin resistance, right? The insulin resistance, that's what's causing that. So the way to do that is to get your insulin to come down. The only way that I know of to do that, to not have insulin, is to not have sugar, is to not have food. And that sounds horrible and right, well, I just have to stop eating then. No, I'm not. Like, it has been found that just skipping breakfast, just pushing breakfast back even to like 11 o'clock is a game changer. People are like Dean. I don't have my laptop or my iPad. Dean did that. He was a type 2 diabetic. He was 60 pounds overweight. And he started just skipping breakfast. He didn't do like a 40-day fast. He didn't check himself into the hospital to get it down or anything like that. He just skipped breakfast, and he incorporated the tea, which is the natural GLP-1 enhancer, right? He did that, and he has lost 50 pounds. He's off of his type 2 medications. He's off his cholesterol meds. He's off of his heart meds with his doctor's help, right? He started taking the system along with all of his doctor medications, did all of it, right? His doctor looked at his blood panel and said, let's start bringing this down a little bit. Let's start bringing this one down a little bit. And in 5 months, he was off of all of his doctor medications. And for the past 2 years, he has maintained a healthy blood panel. He's maintained a 50-pound weight loss. I think he's back also down to about like 60 pounds, right? He's continuing to get healthy. And that is the true medical definition of health, of being in remission, of not having whatever it is that it was anymore. Okay. The true medical definition is maintaining the healthy blood panel, the healthy numbers, the healthy weight. You maintain that for 1 year without medical intervention. Okay. So Dean is now 2 years maintaining it. So he has reversed his condition, right? I am almost 3 years that I am no longer pre-diabetic. I am maintaining that with fiber and tea. $5 a day. I don't know what, $1.63, 3 times a day. This has been a game changer. So if you're interested, you can click on my face. A little half screen will pop up again. Click on my face again. It's going to go through to my profile. I've got a link tree there. You can click on that, and there will be 2 options. You can get like the 2 fibers, which is kind of the basis of this whole thing. If you want to supercharge it and you want to really see the results, you need to do both. You need to do both the tea and the fiber. And then you're going to grab that. So one is just the fiber packets and one is the full protocol. And you're going to go through to the manufacturer, because you're not buying from TikTok or YouTube or from me. You're buying from the manufacturer. They're going to give you a 90-day money-back guarantee. And with that, you're going to get me as a coach. It is not, it's not logs. It's not me, just doing nothing but encouraging you. It's helping you understand which packet goes which. Hot, cold, morning, afternoon, what is this happening? It's me answering questions, and I promise you there is not a lot that I haven't heard. Too much information like that train left a long time ago. People ask questions about diarrhea, constipation, about when is the weight going to start coming off, right? People ask those questions. Those are things that you want to know. You're starting on a metabolic journey and you want to know what's coming, what is happening, what's going on, right? So you get me as a coach. You get access to my phone number. Hey, Daniel. You get we can text, call, email, whatever needs to happen, just so that communication is there. So you are not left looking at 90 packets of stuff and trying to figure this out on your own. What the company also does, they will give you your own referral link, just like Uber, just like Airbnb, right? The better part is that Like if you've got family, if you've got friends, if you've got coworkers that are dealing with this, because honestly, 93% of Americans are dealing with this. There's only 7% of Americans that are metabolically healthy. So I guarantee you, you've got a lot of people that you know that are dealing with something like this and would love to have help with this. And I don't have access to them. You do, right? So you get a referral link. And the best thing that some of our customers are doing is they're calling their family, their friends, their coworkers and saying, hey, I'm starting on this. I want you to do this with me. We're going to create an accountability group, right? And then you send out your referral link and you get either cash or product credit. That can be a conversation between the two of us as to which one works better for you. And every single time that your family, friends, and coworkers purchase using your link, you get that cash or that credit every time. Uber gives you a one time, Airbnb one time, like all these other places that are switching to just affiliate links, they're just a one time, right? Just to try and fill up their lead, right? The company will pay you every single month. Like I said, cash or product credit. So you get that. You get access to a private Facebook group for more accountability. The amount of support that you will receive in this company with this product is off the charts. I have never experienced like you go to your doctor, you get the information, you leave. You go and fill your prescriptions at the pharmacist, you get a little bit of interaction and you're told how and what to do. Maybe you can send an email like through that back office kind of a thing to your doctor and ask a question. Several days later, you'll get an answer, right? You have access to me. We text back and forth so that you can ask these questions and get a much quicker response. This is not to say that it overrides your communication with your doctor. If you have questions to your doctor, absolutely ask your doctor. But if you have questions about how to use the system, then you ask me. You go to the Facebook group, you ask there, whatever, like if you start the system and a month later you still don't know what you're doing, then that isn't because the support isn't there. That isn't because people aren't reaching out to you. Like, right? A lot. And I will be honest with you. In 3 years of doing this, I've had about 10 people return the product and get their money back. 90-day money back guarantee, right? I've had about 10 people do that. And whatever, right? The company offers it. I don't, that's for you to make a decision. If it didn't work for you, if you didn't like it, then you get your money back. So in doing a little bit further research, looking at it, those people they invested their money, but they didn't invest their time. They chose to put this in the pantry because we're going on vacation. I'll deal with it when I come back. Right? They put it in a drawer because they like to have that pristine countertop look. But when they wake up in the morning, the habit is to go over here to this other location to make their coffee, right? That's the kind of coaching that you get. If you're willing to invest your time and your money, what is your morning habit? Do you go straight to the fridge, which, the packets are sitting right next to the fridge? No, my habit is to go to the other side of the kitchen first thing and, make up my coffee with sugar and cream. Okay, well, then let's set this next to it. It's not a matter of eliminating that habit. Let's incorporate this and figure out ways to add this into your habit. Because if you can put this into your habit, then you and your body will naturally know how to change that habit. If having the coffee with tons of creamer, in it and lots of sugar, if that is your morning habit and you don't think you can break that, then continue doing that. But add the tea to it. Right? The tea is not meant to take away your thirst. The tea is there to help give you willpower. The tea is there to turn off the food noise, right? So if after a week of adding the tea to your sugary coffee, every single one of my customers that has done that has been like, you know what, I can push this out. I can have my coffee with my lunch when I break my fast, right? I can start to push my breakfast out a little bit more. They are able to recognize in their body the control that they are getting back. So that is where the coaching comes in, figuring out how to incorporate this into your current habits, not asking you to blow them out of the water or try and annihilate them and just do your best for that 21 days that you make a new habit. No, let's incorporate it into what you're already doing. Let's make life a whole lot easier for yourself so that you're not struggling, so that you get results. So that is what everything is. the tea, the fiber, coaching, support, everything. Casey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Losing my voice. If anybody has any questions, please give me a follow. I'll be reaching out to people, after this and just connecting. If you have questions, give me a follow. If you are wanting to grab the system, you just click on my face again, and go through my link tree and click on the option that says the protocol, the full protocol. You can look at all the information from the manufacturer, the research, everything is there. It has been researched at over, I think, 15 different clinics and universities. It's listed in the PDR, has a 90-day money back guarantee. The only thing that you are going to, that the only thing that you could miss out on is 90 days of drinking fiber and tea. That's it. If it doesn't work, you get your money back. Worst case scenario, on October 15th, you are, bloating, it could be gone, inflammation down. You could have dropped some weight. You could be in a new pant size. You could be looking at the holidays in an entirely different way, right? You could be looking at heading into the holidays, not concerned about the typical weight gain that we usually get, right? I've been through 4 holidays and I have not gained my weight back. I've continued to lose weight. I've continued to manage my metabolic syndrome, right? And I don't not eat the cake. I don't not have the eggnog. I don't not have all of the food and the candies and the treats and the late nights. I still have all of that, and I have maintained it for 3 years. So if you are wanting to kind of redirect your life and look at October 15th heading into the holiday season and a different person, then I would love to work with you. And again, you get that referral link so that you can create your own community. You can get your family, your friends, because honestly, they're going to notice. They're going to notice and they're going to ask you what you're doing, because nobody is able to really, like, right? We don't see people losing weight. We just see people kind of getting heavier, getting more inflamed, right? We don't see a lot of people losing weight. Luckily, you can tell them that it's like you didn't, do an extreme diet. You didn't do extreme exercise. You literally added tea and fiber, and you can help them do it. And you don't even have to help them. You can just give them a link they can purchase, and then I become their coach. So that's all conversations we can have. If you're wanting to grab it, love to work with you. And I'll be back on in a little bit, but I've got some other stuff to do. So I hope you have a good, little time, good day, good Saturday. Bye-bye. Oh, I need to stop over here too.